Yeah, but yeah, I had a guy uh, that we're doing an eviction, and he goes back into the house to shoot up because it's stressful. So he's shooting up with heroin. He was already drunk when the officer showed up,
Oh my
and he
God.
goes into the back room to shoot up with heroin. And then when they finally give him the opportunity to go get stuff out, he grabs the giant flat screen and like takes one step off the porch and then falls right into the yard head
Oh
through the TV.
no. You
Yeah,
gotta start. You gotta start carrying a freaking body cam around with you, Nick. I got
I
this. Is
know.
this is
I know.
internet gold, man. Internet gold. Start a TikTok and just have a body cam on you and be like, "Adventures in freaking locksmithing, dude."
Yeah.
That's insane. I can't even imagine. What's up, everybody? Andre is already in the chat. Welcome, sir. Smash that like button. Yes,
Or
indeed.
is it slap the like button?
Well, you know what, man? I gotta tell you. I am already
I'm
over
done.
the Will Smith thing. Like I talked about it last night. I was all over social media. I posted a couple videos, and then I was on Midnight's Edge this morning talking about it. And I'm all talked out. I look at it
Well,
now, and I'm flipping through like TikTok and Instagram, and I'm like, that's literally the only thing on the internet at the moment, and it's driving me up a wall.
I muted any words with Will Smith and Chris Rock on Twitter.
yeah,
Broda.
I mean that is more exposure than the Oscars have had in decades.
Yes, this is true. Broda Fett. I
I
love it.
just
Who
got a
actually watched?
notification though. Salty Nerds Live, so we should
Yes,
check
I
that out.
am. Hey, what's up, everybody? What's up? What's up? Howdy to R to the Icky. What's up, bro? I just wanted to address it. Who actually watched the Halo travesty? I watched it, and you can catch me talking about it live tomorrow on the podcast. We'll be on Twitter Spaces, so follow us on Twitter at salty_nerd, and we usually do a Twitter Spaces event for each Tuesday where we record the podcast raw and unfiltered. So if you want to get my thoughts on the actual TV show from Paramount Plus, go ahead over there, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow morning. What's up? Gasso's in the chat. G'day. What's up, man? How you doing? Good to see our Australian brothers out there. Thank you all. Discord as well. No, so the reason why I was doing Discord was because Vader was out of town. He was dealing with some family stuff, so I was the one who had to do the live Tuesday recording, and I don't have Twitter, so I used Discord. But now he's back, so we're back to Twitter. I would like to do it simultaneously on both platforms, but we haven't quite figured out how to do that without having issues. So Twitter is the place to be for the live event. But anyway, I haven't experienced Halo yet. I'm too scared. Let's talk about Halo real quick. Not the show, but the actual video game. I have a long history with the game. I played Combat Evolved when it first came out. I fell in love with it. I can't tell you how many times I played the cartographer mission. That was my favorite mission. I'd go back and just replay it just for kicks. JT, are you a long-term Halo gamer?
I played the first 3 games, but I do remember like long nights in college playing Halo 1 and 2, the old school way when you play online, when you you would connect people in the same room or the other room, and one guy would come out yelling, "You what the heck? You blew me up!" So you had the live action, fighting with your friends, and you all have beers later on. That was always fun. So
It's hilarious to me. I saw
that's what I
somebody.
remember about Halo.
I saw somebody. Some youngster, some freaking zillennial or what are they called now? The Generation Z or whatever. They were talking about like playing Fortnite, and they're like, why are all these freaking older guys on Fortnite like jumping up and down on my face after they kill me? I don't understand it.
Oh yeah,
What's going on? And I'm like, freaking Halo Combat Evolved.
yeah. I think it came from that, right? The
Yeah, it did. It originated with Halo.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Go ahead, Nick.
Kicking that in with Red versus Blue, when they announced that Halo was going to cross over with that, they got the Red versus Blue guys to come out and do the trailer.
Nice.
And so,
epic.
like at E3, you have all of a sudden you have like Griff, Simmons, and Shar.
Uh-oh. Nick, your internet connection's a little sketchy there, bud. That's not good because I was relying on you. Oh no, we lost Nick. All right, Nick, let me know when you get back in.
But yeah, the LAN parties was like the best thing. Oh, there you are.
Yeah, Nick, are you okay over there, bud? How's your internet?
I thought my internet was good. Let me double check, make sure I'm connected to the right network.
All right, you do your thing. I'll address
You
the
look good
chat.
now.
Our chat is freaking active tonight. Thank you guys so much for being here. It's great. 8-player local Halo is my life.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that was amazing. I had so much fun doing that.
Beers, pizza, and Halo.
Yep. Who's Caboose? Caboose is my favorite character. I freaking love Michael J. Caboose. He is amazing. He's so funny. Says, which one of you is Sarge, Griff, or Church? Sarge is also amazing. I think it's Sarge and Caboose, especially if you guys remember early on. I think it's like season 2 or 3 when they team up, Sarge and Caboose go on an adventure together. That is one of my all-time favorite episodes when they enter the LAN party, right? They enter this world, they go through the teleporter, and they end up in this freaking PvP universe where there's like literal red versus blue capture the flag games going on, and they're all just like these manic psychopathic gamers who are like going at each other. Yeah. Kill the red. Oh
and
my god.
And then it all ends with, my name is Michael J. Caboose, and I hate babies.
He's like, what did he say? O'Malley told me I have to get angry, so I have to think of kittens with spikes.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude. Caboose is freaking hilarious. But it's funny, like I haven't watched this show in God knows how long, and revisiting it this week for preparation for this show, it was such a great nostalgic walk down memory lane. Like, I'm watching the first season again, and that opening scene where you have the two guys, I can't remember which ones they are. It's like Simmons and Griff or something, but they're on top, like contemplating the meaning of life, and like,
why do you think we're here?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Simmons says to Griff, you ever wonder why we're here? And Griff's like, yeah, man, it's one of life's big questions. I mean, like, why are we here? Is there a God, or is we just a product of random chance?
It's like, no, man. I'm like, what do you mean? We're like, why are we here in this valley?
You want to talk about it?
So, Nick, you're the resident. You're a little fuzzy, but you're not too bad.
Okay.
You're doing all right.
If not, I'll switch devices.
Just move every now and then so we know you're not.
Yeah. Well, actually, the next thing I wanted to ask. So Nick is the resident expert on red versus blue. This episode tonight was his idea, and I wanted to get him on. JT wanted to come on too because we all love this show. So Nick, do you know like how this all got started? I know you know a lot about the original Rooster Teeth guys. So take it away, man. How did this show get started?
Kind of, they're like me, like these guys, and like all of us, back in 2003, they're all working at a telecom center together, doing tech support.
Mm-hmm.
And this was just something that they were throwing all these different, they created, I can't remember how many, but they created a ton of different websites, just creating all sorts of different things about different nerd topics, all sorts of different things, just thinking something's going to stick and we're going to quit our jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And so they just started, they saw that Machinima was kind of picking up some steam. And so they thought, yeah, we can do that. And so they just did this. This was one of many websites that they were just randomly creating. And they were using at the time the production company name of Cockbite. And then they tried to get sponsors. And they realized that didn't fly to get sponsors, even back in 2003.
Yeah.
So then they turned it to Rooster Teeth.
Mm.
So that's where that comes from. And then so the first couple of years, they're doing it all while working. And then Gus Symes, the one that does Simmons, he goes back and he moves. It was like Puerto Rico or Belize, or he moves out of the country, and so he's radioing it into him, all his lines, and they're just sitting there doing it, and Bernie Burns, the main one who started it, he that plays Church and Vic and a few other characters, and Lopez. Yeah, the white guy plays the Spanish guy.
Lopez is amazing.
And yet the Spanish guy, they have Gus is Spanish, so
but he doesn't play Lopez.
He's on there.
That's funny.
He doesn't play Lopez. He writes the dialogue for Lopez, and then just has Burns read it.
That's
So
amazing.
that's why it like sounds so robotic and bad.
Yeah,
because it's a white guy reading Spanish.
So we need to. I don't think there's anybody in the chat right now who hasn't seen this show, but the characters are incredible. Before we started recording, JT and I were talking about Lopez because Lopez is a robot. He's an android that Sarge built out of parts, and when they finally figure out how to turn his like speech unit on, they accidentally like rip one of the wires out. And it's like it's stuck on Spanish and they can't figure out how to fix it. So he goes through the entire freaking show just speaking only in Spanish. And there's this one bit where Sarge is like, "Tell me how to turn on your English subroutines." And he's like, and one of the characters is like, "Sarge, he understands you. He's just stuck on Spanish. Yeah. Why are you talking so slow?" "Me llamo Lopez." It's so freaking funny, dude. The whole bit is hilarious. And then one of my favorite things about Lopez is that he falls in love with the tank Sheila, and he's all got the hots for her.
As does Caboose.
Yeah, as does Caboose. Caboose is amazing too. He's like I said, he's my favorite character. But yeah, it's the comedic genius behind this show still holds up today. Like I said, I went back and watched the first 3 seasons, and I'm like, this shit still lands. Like it's not outdated. It's freaking hilarious each and every time. It's so funny, dude.
Oh yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah. So you only made it to season 3 rewatching. How far have you gotten?
So back in the day when it was still coming out like fairly new, I think I was on season 6. The biggest thing I remember is when they started doing like fully animated characters. Not animated as in like drawn, but like they were actually animating the physical characters from the games to make them do things that they wouldn't normally be able to do. So there was a big fight with Tex where she just like completely demolishes the entire red and blue team, and she's like kicking people in the balls and doing stuff. That was one of the biggest things I remember. I got to the point where I think Church realizes that he's like stuck inside of a computer simulation, and it like zooms out, and his brain, the whole Blood Gulch Chronicles is just inside this computer, and it like zooms out and pans away. And I think that's where I kind of left it. And then for preparation with this, I kind of bounced around. Like I rewatched the first 3 seasons, and then I'd go to season 6, and then I bounced over to season 15, and just kind of getting an idea of where they went with it. And I was all over the place, but it's just everything's so freaking funny.
Yeah, I was just watching season 1 and 2 and some of 3, but it brought back old memories. Even seeing just the backgrounds, because they used it during the game, so it's like I remember that. I remember running around that, and then you would see like the gun or like something left on the ground because they're playing it. They're doing it inside the game, so there'd be like a pistol on the ground.
Yeah.
Random spot. That's where you would pick up your gun. And they would
I like how
they
use the different engines of Halo as an explanation of a time travel plot.
Yeah.
So like even in the newer seasons, when they go back and do like prequels, they go back to Halo 1.
Yeah. I love that. So that's amazing.
And they even send Church back further in the past, and they go to a game that Bungie made before Halo.
That's right. I remember that bit. Yeah, it was like a Doom or something like that. And the guy was wearing
it was. I can't remember the name of the game, but it is the first game that Bungie ever made.
Okay.
PC.
Yeah.
So
I remember
Microsoft owned them.
I remember that bit. That was funny. It was a lot of fun, man. I can't believe how good this show was. Like I go back and watch it, and I'm like, man, the stories are so clever. Like when they finally figure out how to use the teleporters, and they teleport each other into the different universes and different levels and stuff like that. Like the
hijinks. Trying to teleport was like the funniest part. Go through it. Oh my god! I don't know what's gonna happen. Go through it. We threw rocks.
Rocks aren't people.
Yeah. And the bit where like they go through it and it like tarnishes their armor, so they're all wearing black, and they're all pissed off. He's like, my armor's not the right color, man, and they're trying to clean it, and God damn it,
you're
this
red.
So
no,
good.
This is maroon.
Yeah.
Well, man, what? Yeah, and like there's the episode 1.21 gigawatts, and in that episode in season 1, that's when Tucker thinks that because he's not a Sarge, he thinks that they time traveled. And so he's sitting there. In the future, you're going to become a sergeant. It's just
there was
the humor is good with the references.
Yeah.
It would
well,
never
I mean,
be made today.
you don't think so?
I don't know.
They're
Maybe.
still coming out with seasons.
Yeah, but it's not made. It's not made by the same people, though, is it?
So, up until season 17, it was.
Okay.
So, season 18 is actually being done by the Death Battle crew.
Oh, okay.
And so one of the things, like you talked about season 8 when they first started having the animation, that was Monty who unfortunately he passed away, I think, around season 12.
Okay.
And season 11 or 12, right in there. And I think he had started doing another show, so they were using less of him already. And then he kind of had some health problems and was burning the midnight oil on the other show, Ruby. And then going on there, though, it was still kind of the same writing team. And there's debate about whether the other seasons are good. I think it's all top-notch solid through 17. And then season 18, they did a kind of a spin-off show called Red versus Blue Zero. Okay. And they got an animator who was kind of like a protege of Monty who does a lot of the death battle animations. And he just likes seeing a really cool fight. The story was really lacking. And it was really cool, and they got to use the Unreal Engine. So they're doing it all custom animations, not in the Halo engine, but complete custom. And it looks cool, but the story's just not there, and it's all new characters. So it's kind of they tried to capture the same humor of having characters that are like freelancers and then characters that are goofy, but you don't have these 5 years of just watching the goofy characters. That it's just kind of like frustrating. It's like you with kids, you know, you're like, this guy's being goofy, and like, why is he on this elite squad?
Yeah,
with all these other like top notch people, like it makes no sense. But Red versus Blue had that where it had those 5 seasons of complete just tomfoolery, and then in season 6 you get Agent Washington comes in as the straight man.
Yeah, I remember him.
Like just some of the initial things when he first. Like when he first goes to the base and he meets Sister first, and she's like, "Are you a cop?" And she's just like, he's like, "No, I'm not a cop. Because if you're a cop, you have to tell me you're a cop.
Yeah,
it's totally a law." And he's like, "No,
I remember that." Yeah.
Like, good luck with your raging insanity.
Yeah, Sister was a funny. Whose sister was it? Was it Church's or Tucker's?
Griff's. So
Griff's. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
She's Blue Team member, but she's Griff's sister.
Right.
And she was, after Griff abandoned her and her parents died, and Griff joined the army and left her. And so she felt scared and alone, so she signed up for the army. Because she was scared.
I went back and I was watching this episode. It was like a prequel, and it kind of explains how they ended up in Blood Gulch and the reason why we have these completely ridiculous characters all in the same spot, that they're supposed to be in the army or something like that, where they get weeded out of the military boot camp. Like they're going through the straight man is the sergeant's like going through all these people, and he's finding like the weakest links and he's putting them all together, and that's why they get sent out there and on this like nonsense mission that has no way of accomplishing any kind of goals. They're just out there just so they don't hurt anybody else. Because there's a bit where we get introduced to Sarge, and this is the first time I'd seen this episode, and it's all in the old school like Halo 1 Combat Evolved graphics and stuff, which I think that's, in my opinion, even though I love the animated stuff where you get to see the cool fight scenes, I think there's something special about when they use the actual Combat Evolved engine to film all the scenes. It just adds like an element of nostalgia to it that is not quite there in some of the newer versions. And and it's not that I don't like the new ones. Like they're fun. The Halo 2 graphics are fun and cool. And like you said, the time travel stuff is fun. But going back to that Combat Evolved thing was hilarious. But anyway, so Sarge is like, he's with a squad of all like different versions of himself. Like they're all just different versions of Sarge. One of them's called like Buckshot, and the other one's called like something like Butcher Knife or something like that. And they're all like they all talk slightly different than each other, but they're all exactly the same personalities. And there's this bit
I
where
think they're all voiced by him too.
yeah, I think they are all voiced by the same person, but he does an excellent job, which is like a variation. But they're trying to like weed out who's going to be the new sergeant. And the guy's like, "So what's your name, sir?" And he's like, "My name is Sarge." And he's like, "Wait a second, your actual name is Sarge?" He's like, "Yeah, my dad said I should dress for the job I want, so I figured I might as well just take it the extra mile." He's like, "I called myself Sarge." And the way that he weeds out the competition is it ends up with like a PvP battle, and they all kill each other, and there's only 2 left. And he's like, he convinces the last dude standing that he loves the army so much that he wants to be a fallen hero, so he kills himself in front of the freaking guy, the drill sergeant.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, "What the hell is wrong with you people? You're insane." He's like, "Well, he died for a cause, sir. He was a hero. I won't hear you talk dirty about him." It's just like, oh my god, dude, this freaking show is bananas.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When I first
that whole
rewatched
speech
it,
is.
I was like, oh, it brings back so many memories of the game.
Yeah.
I was yelling at the screen, telling them, just take the flag and drop it. Like, but they were just so stupid that they were causing all kinds of problems.
Brodefett says, "I love when they went to the future in Halo 2. They thought the present had been completely destroyed."
Yeah.
They spent like
that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. They spent like a good half the season just like wandering through this wasteland for like no reason.
I like that in canon, all the time travel that Church does, where he's making copies of himself, that's canon. But the time travel that they think where they go to Halo 2, that they were just mistaken. That didn't really happen.
Never happened.
And because later they do time travel. And so you talked about them going back and doing that prequel. Now they give a whole bunch of information on that in season 15.
Okay.
So the plot of season 15 is the Blues and Reds are on this rampage. They're trying to kill everybody in the UNSC, and they're framing themselves as the Reds and Blues.
Okay.
And they have this whole plot because their orange one, Biff, got brutally murdered by Texas.
Okay.
In a battle between Texas and Carolina, we're doing training exercises to capture the flag, and they put a flag right through his gut. and so he's best friends with not Church but Temple. And so like all of them have like different
alter
names.
Egos?
Yes.
Okay.
And so they have an Italian speaking robot and all this stuff. And so they do this whole flashback of how they all like got started. And at the very end, it cuts to the director and he says, "I'm worried about one thing." And the counselor goes, "The aggression, already noted. We'll make a log about it." And he says, "Also, save the details on those troops." "Why is that, sir?" He says, "Well, up until this point, they had always been locked in a complete stalemate. We may need that information if ever we need to create a similar scenario." And so, like, basically, that prequel episode, this comes after that prequel episode you saw, but that's them trying to recreate the scene of their doppelgangers. And
oh my gosh.
But they go crazy. Like 17 and 18, they get time portal guns.
Oh my god.
And they go throughout time. Tucker and Sister decide that they're going to go throughout time and have sex with all the celebrities throughout history. And Caboose somehow gets sent to Caboose and Lopez end up going to the Mayans. And that's how like Wash and Carolina find out about it, is they start realizing that like Caboose's face is like on ancient artifacts. And they're like, oh
no.
and then the villain of the whole thing destroys pizza, so Doc and Griff go back to ancient Italy to try to teach them how to make pizza. and like they don't even know what a tomato is yet, and he's like trying to, he's going all like this right. It's like, you put the dough, the marinara, the cheese, he's like,
I'm going to have to
It's
watch
the
that
perfect
one.
delivery sentence. You can have it with this. You can have it with that. You can put pineapple and have it. You can put this and have Mexican pizza. It's the perfect delivery for food.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch that for sure. There was a early on, I think it might have been season 2. Again, I watched the first 3 seasons this week just to kind of prep for the show. So I'm not familiar with the later seasons, but I'm definitely gonna go back and rewatch them because this show, like with the new Halo show coming out, like it's like reactivated everything that I've felt about Halo for the past freaking 20 some odd years or whatever. And I have Halo Infinite, the newest game I've been playing through. So I'm like steeped in Halo right now. And
Yeah.
Nick reminded me of Red versus Blue, and I'm like, man, I got to rewatch that show. And I am not disappointed, but it's so funny, dude. There was what was I gonna say? I forgot what bit I was gonna talk about, but it's always with Sarge. Like, oh no, Caboose. It was okay. So when Sarge and Caboose, this is my favorite episode of all time. I haven't seen one that makes me laugh as hard as this one, but it's that one where they go back into the PvP map, and when the actual battle takes place, and you just see these two armies go at each other. The threats and the insults they throw at each other during the battle, and I'm like, oh my god, I've literally said each and every one of those things. Like, shut the fuck up, noob. He's like yelling at people. Like, and there's this one dude on top of this arc, which is always like the weirdest place to get to in the game. If you remember playing that map, you're like, oh, you get to the arc, you have a bird's eye view of everything. You're like taking people out with the sniper rifle, and this one dude walks out with a freaking grenade launcher and like launches this missile at this dude, blows him up, and as he's flying through the air, he's like, "You rocket whore!" And it's like that back and forth.
It's a legitimate strategy.
Yeah, y'all, the camping thing. Yes.
Yep.
You camping bitch. It's a legitimate strategy, and he like runs away.
What's
I was
funny
a camper,
is like
so I
all those
appreciated
people
that.
are the same voice actors. Just trying to do funny voices.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. And then when they actually do get the flag, he's like, "I regret nothing. I have lived as few men, or I have died as few men have dared to live." And he's like waving the flag around.
Or what about when they take it and they realize it's gone, and he's like, "The end is nigh."
Yeah,
Repent.
Yeah, he goes on this like epic apocalyptic speech to all his comrades.
And then he's like, "Oh wait, I gotta go take out the trash."
Yeah, and he just died. It's funny because this show was like made by gamers for gamers, and like especially the first couple of seasons, and it's just it speaks to that that inner nerd.
It was sponsored by Bungie. And Microsoft. So what happened is that they started making merch, and they got a couple seasons in, and kind of around because they started in 2003, so they started before YouTube.
Hold on, Nick, real quick. If that's not already a T-shirt, I'm gonna make it a T-shirt. I have lived as few men dare to dream, and it's just gonna be the flag. All right, go ahead, continue, man.
Yeah, that would be a good sell.
They started trying to make merch and stuff like that, and so then Bungie was really cool. They contacted them and like, "Hey, we find your stuff very funny, but you're treading a real thin line, making money on Microsoft's product." So they set some rules about like what they could and couldn't put on a shirt.
Okay.
So like that's why there's a lot of their catchphrases and stuff like that on there, Red versus Blue, but there isn't a lot with the actual Halo characters on it.
Right.
But then what they did as part of their agreement to let them do this was that they had to do all sorts of like Halo advertisements. So they would release videos for like when there was a new map expansion, they would do like a Sarge, like they had one where like Griff was trying to call in sick like 200 days in advance for like the release of Halo 3. He's like, I'd like to request a sick day. I'm gonna have the flu.
That's awesome. I want to address the chat real quick. But then I have something else that I want to talk about that particular thing about like copyright claiming and stuff like that, and how companies these days just have no idea the amount of publicity they can get from fans if they just treat them right. But these quotes are amazing. Mark's 47, dude, thank you so much. These quotes are incredible. Everyone, look unto me. I possess the blue flag. I have seen the top of the mountain, and you will worship me as though I were a god. These freaking quotes. So, JT and I were talking before we started recording. We were like, dude, that bit where they were trying to name the warthog. And it's like, I think it looks like a puma. What are you talking about, kid? Stop making up freaking animals. It's like, you see these two toe hooks in the front? They look like tusks. You know what else has tusks? Walruses? Damn it, I told you to stop making up names. The whole freaking bit about naming the warthog, dude. It's so quotable.
Simmons, what's the name of that Mexican lizard that eats the goats?
Mentions a puma, right? The song the
the chupacabra. Yeah. Oh my gosh,
and there's,
dude,
so did you watch, anybody who's a fan of this show, I highly recommend you go watch season 14.
Okay.
So, and that's where your prequel was. So season 14, you have to kind of have seen the show already to get the references, but it is a celebration of the show. And they go into the multiverse.
Okay.
And so they have like a Lego stop animation, but one of the things they have is a rap battle between Church and Sarge. And there's a moment where Sarge, tells Church that he's a virus and then he'll wipe his hard drive clean with the treads of my chupa baby. But it's these two white guys rapping, and Church has a line in that one. Church is in session, so maybe you should stop and pray. And they're like going back and forth. And it was actually a fan from their community that wrote this and released it on his YouTube channel, and they hired him.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. Yeah.
To remaster it and make it an episode.
Why buy the cow when you get the milk for free? Did you just call my girlfriend a cow?
Yeah.
I think he called her a whore.
IMDb
called
has
her a
like
whore.
a list of these quotes. Like they have pages upon pages of the show.
You know how I've talked to you, Alex, about trying, and it is a long and admittedly I've been really busy, so I'm I'm just trying to keep up with what you're doing, but trying to make a Wikipedia.
Yeah,
some of your things, notable things.
Yeah, you told me you were going to do that, and I was like, that is a freaking that's a burger and a half. But
they did that with Red versus Blue.
Okay.
And so every line in the entirety of Red versus Blue, there is a wiki that has every line in it. And so you go on there and you go into the search engine and you can start typing in part of a phrase. It will take you to the exact episode, line dialogue, all that.
That's awesome.
And so oftentimes I will be thinking of this really funny comeback from Red versus Blue, but I can't remember the quote exactly or that. And I will go onto that wiki, type in the few words I know are in it, pull it up, copy it, and then paste it as a reply on Twitter.
Genius. Oh, if I ever download Twitter, that's all I'm going to use. It's just going to be Red versus Blue quotes.
You'd be good.
But anyway, so I wanted to talk about the copyright claim thing, because that's a big thing these days. Even with the Paramount Plus with Star Trek and all these new shows that are coming out, if you so much as have a clip or talk about a certain subject, like we had on Saturday, Vader and Kadish were talking about Star Trek. We didn't have a clip or any music or anything like that. We still got hit with a monetization strike because we talked about a character from that show. And I'm just I'm looking at this, I'm like, what happened to the days George Lucas back in the day? You could make fan films and he would just be like, yeah, go ahead, make freaking fan films. And with Microsoft and Bungie, and they're like, hey, we know you're using our IP to do this, but it's so good and it's so funny, and it's going to do is promote the game and promote us. So we're going to help you along the way. I wish we would see more of that these days. I think it's super important to have a good, strong fan community, even if they are kind of ribbing at your IP or making fun of it or making jokes about it. Treating those fans with respect will get you way farther than shutting them down and not letting them do that kind of stuff.
A company that's really good about that is Sega. And the Sega, especially the Sonic fan community, they let them hold conventions where they make and show off fan games.
Mm-hmm.
And they've taken the creators of those and pulled them in and put them on their development teams. They're freaking out right now because Paramount's, the one publishing the Sonic movie.
Yeah.
And they're copyright striking like all of these Sonic tubers like
Oh,
nuts,
no.
and they copyright struck Sega Bits there for posting a picture of the McDonald's toys. The McDonald's Sonic toys got leaked, and so they took a picture. They posted the picture on their Twitter, and they got taken down. They had
Wow.
to Twitter remove the picture, and they got a strike against them on Twitter for posting that picture. And they're like, Sega's like the most open, like cooperative, work with that kind of company, and they've kind of embraced that culture that this fan base is like avid and
Yeah.
and it's just so funny that Sega's that way, and then they're dealing with Paramount, and Paramount's like, no, if you have our poster in your title screen or anything like that, like we're gonna copyright strike you.
Jeez, man. That's so bananas. I can't even imagine like what like I said before, like the potential that you have to like harness that energy from these fans and use it to boost your own sales. Like it's going to be astronomical compared to what these guys are making off of like YouTube, ad revenue or something for making a video about your stuff. Like I do not understand the mentality that these companies have. We're like shutting down their own fandom. It's so weird.
It's like they don't want to be made fun of or talked about unless they're doing the talking.
Do you guys remember I can't remember. I think it was Wreck-It Ralph 2. They had a bit where the chick from that movie, the little girl, went into like Disneyland or whatever in a digital universe, and apparently they had a bit in that movie making fun of Kylo Ren, and Disney was like, "Don't put that in the movie," and I was just like, "Why not?"
Well, it's interesting that I watched a developer interview for the first one, and they were talking about like dealing with those IPs, and they said that some of those scenes where they would show actual video game characters, they said it would take months of back and forth re-editing, like, oh, Zangief is too short compared to Dr. Eggman, you gotta adjust that, and just back and forth, like these companies being really
petty and weird,
controlling. Yeah, and
that's crazy.
So like that's kind of when they went to the next one, they're like, that's a lot of times why they make up stuff instead of using more.
Yeah. So welcome, James. I saw you popped in earlier. Thanks for being here, man. He says, I think it was a glitch that they exploited originally to make the arms point down. So he's talking about how they filmed like the first couple of seasons of Red vs. Blue. This was before they could rig everything and were stuck using the game engine. So again, like I said before, that's one of the things that I really admire about the first couple of seasons is because they were using that. It took so much like creativity to make the scenes work the way they did. Like I can only imagine like there was a scene where the tank blows up the warthog and it flips through the air and it's in the frame and you just see it and then you hear a voiceover of whoever going ah, and it just does that thing.
So one of the things when you're watching that, here's the thing, they actually went back and refilmed every one of those original seasons when they did the HD edition.
Oh, no way.
And they had to recreate that. And there's Gavin, which is one of the guys they have there. He talks about how like that just happened by accident. Like that, they were just playing around and they had multiple takes and then it just happened and they were like, oh, we got to use that. And it took them days.
I can only imagine. I can only imagine.
But one of the things that they have as a benefit now is like, with the good relationship they have with Microsoft, they get the unlocked version of the game.
Right.
So they have a whole lot more control. When they started out, like those first two seasons, like that is entirely them working in the game and just doing their own like hacking to it. But after that, when they got to Halo 2, they got like the developer kit and were able to do a lot more. And then when you see in season 8 is when they first started having animation by Monty.
Right.
That whole scene where the Jeep busts through the wall and takes out Washington. And then Sarge, as it's going by, Sarge grabs the gun from him.
Yeah.
That was all hand animated. And then after Monty left, he left for the other project, which was Ruby. They had to come up with a way to get that because the show kind of went backwards a little bit. It went back to just the nodding heads for a season. And then what they started doing was motion capture. So actual guys in suits doing all those stunts
Mm.
with little balls all over them. And,
That's cool.
and motion capturing it and rigging it up to a unit that is the character model.
Oh man, that's awesome. Yeah,
It's almost like
Brodefett.
like claymation, like what they used to do with Robot Chicken back in the day. Like those,
Mhm.
you know, they used to like.
Well,
that
they
one
used to take
took a while too.
Robot Chicken used to take like action figures and dolls and stuff and just like do the animation like that. But yeah, it's very much the same. Like you take the gun that you're pointed with in Halo and you look straight down and then you crouch and like the head pops up and you can kind of look up and down really fast. That's how they made those scenes. But like, again, like just mapping out how this whole thing is going to come together. I can only imagine like they had to have had just like whiteboards of storyboards drawn out by hand. Like, okay, we need a scene this, we need this, we need this. And it's amazing to me the labor of love that went into the first couple of seasons of this show. It's so fun to watch. And I can only imagine like if me and a couple of buddies got together and started fooling around with this video game, like, yeah, that would be, I could understand totally why they would go through all this trouble because it's so damn fun. And like, even if nobody watched it, because this show started off, it came out before YouTube was even a thing. So they're just making it because it's fun. They're distributing it on their own.
So
it's just,
it was actually costing them money.
Yeah.
Because you had to pay for your website, like the data logs. So it was becoming expensive. So what they were doing is they were actually uploading it to BitTorrent sites.
Okay, that makes sense.
And
yeah.
encouraging their fans to BitTorrent it. And then they were selling the DVDs. They had like this thing that they were giving away for free, but they're like, but please buy it on DVD and then you'll get the deleted scenes.
Oh man, that'd be awesome.
So they were shipping out DVDs. And then when they really made it though is when they got the deal with Netflix.
Right.
They put it on Netflix.
Yeah. That's when you start making the money.
That's when they like it started becoming big, and then Rooster Teeth when they created Ruby, that exploded. Which if you don't know that's their attempt at a Texas-made Japanese anime, and it's about a school for huntsmen that go out and kill Grimm, and the primary cast, 4 girls. They're all based on fairy tale characters. But the click of the show is that every sword is also a gun. If you have nunchucks, they're gunchucks, and so they shoot bullets out while you're flinging them around. Like so, but that show went crazy, blew them up on a much larger scale, and they've got now that Warner Brothers owns them. They had to downsize. They were over 500 employees. Now I believe they're sitting at about 400.
It's one of those things like because my crew and I, Kadish, has this writer brain going right now. He's got this idea in his head for this Viking cop TV show where Matt Vader, our co-host, is literally a Viking who is also a local sheriff or cop or whatever. And he keeps coming up with these like wild ideas, and I'm like, it's weird things like that if you know the people involved, it gets better and better, and you start like just having this fun little side hobby, and you get your vans, and if it's funny and if it's good, then it takes off and it kind of like grows on its own. Like I can only imagine, man, I wish and I hope that someday the SNP becomes something like that where we can create our own stuff and we can have guys like JT and Nick come over here and give us ideas on what we can create and stuff like that. It would just be so much fun. I would love to be able to do something like that someday. What was I gonna say?
So like when you look at like the initial cast, so you got Bernie Burns, and he does Church, Lopez, and Vic, the computer program.
Oh yeah.
And then
what's up, dude? How you doing, man?
And it's funny.
Who's the guy from like the station, like the main?
That's Vic.
Okay,
that's Vic.
Yeah.
555 VFCK.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, Sarge? How you doing, man? What do you need? We need an airdrop right now. All right, dude. I'll see what I can do about that.
When they
I found a purple thing. What? Okay, be specific. Yeah.
Use your words, dude.
James. That's right. James says I have the first 5 seasons on DVD. That's incredible, dude. That's awesome.
Yes, that they did that as a box set, and that's there's one of those things where when they first introduced Doc and he's talking to Vic,
Yeah.
and Vic is like just so weird because in the first season Vic wasn't that weird. He looked freaky.
Well, it's
He was
because
just
it's
kind of very strictly.
it's one of the dudes on the Pillar of Autumn from the beginning of the games. It's like one of the control guys that has like no detail to his face. It's all like bitmapped and like really weird looking.
And so in
He's
season
creepy.
2, they made him into a character, and he's being really weird. And they have a scene where the Doc's like, "Wait, is this Blue Command?" And he says, "Whoa, dude, you called me."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we just. And they actually put that in the lore. Another prequel. They show a scene where Captain Butch Flowers, he like sets him up to spy on the bases, and he says, "I'm here to pick you," and he's all perfectly normal. And then he accidentally trips over the cord and unplugs him, and then plugs him back in. He's up, and he's like, and that's when he gets like all weird.
Oh, okay.
It's because he got shorted out.
That's funny, man. Yeah, I gotta go back and like watch and binge watch this show. It's just I didn't have enough time to do as much as I wish I could have this week.
I think so. Like season 14, Vic is the narrator.
Okay.
So he's gonna take you through all the red versus blue stories, and he's like, some of them are in different universes.
Yeah, I was gonna
Some are
say
other
they
reds and
go
blues are other, like they go all
they
over
go
the place.
off.
They do live
There's a
action.
couple storylines that like go way off the rails, and I always watch like how they try to justify it and like bring it back to reality, and it's always like the weirdest thing.
They have the one where in season 15, Vic he's been left there at Blood Gulch this whole time. Like we haven't seen him, and all he wants to do is die. And so he's like, "I'll help you if you kill me." I'm like, "Oh God, no!" And he's like, "I'm just kidding." But no, really, would you do it? And like in the end, he gets his big heroic sacrifice, and he says, and he leaves his final voicemail. He says, "And you can leave me a message at the beep, but I won't answer because I'm kicking the bucket. There's no one in the cabeza."
Oh
And
man.
He just a funny character. So you look at like the original though. So Matt Holm, he does Sarge, but he also does Doc. And
Okay.
he also
That's
does
weird.
O'Malley.
Oh,
So he does Doc, O'Malley, and Sarge. And then Donut constantly gets killed off
Yeah.
because he wasn't one of their main crew. He lived somewhere else, so they couldn't always get him.
Oh, okay.
So because of that, like they would like kill him and then have him like just show up back alive in another season.
Hmm.
And there's like, but you got shot. He says, "Yeah.
Well,
my armor locked up."
The whole bit about how he got his pink armor was he got blown up by a grenade.
Stuck to his head.
Yeah, stuck to his head. And they're like, "Whoa, dude, there's something on your head." And he's like,
Yeah,
"Is it a spider?" And then it just
it's
blows
just
up.
slowly. I love how they do the ghost, like they're just walking around see-through. They're like,
Yeah.
"Whoa."
Well, that was again, that was like a bit from the game where you could be a spectator and you were like a ghost and you just run around. So they used that as a place in for like characters who got killed off and like their consciousness was still running around and stuff.
Then
Like they got
come into other people's bodies.
yeah. I love
And so-
dude. Speaking of, I love the
Funny
bit where they.
is-
No, go ahead, Nick.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say the bit where they go into Caboose's head, and like Caboose has like imaginary versions of all of the characters from the show, and he's the smartest one. and
Once
there's
again,
like,
season 14, they show you the inside of everybody's head from that episode.
oh, that's amazing. Did someone just say
And,
lightish red?
Yeah.
And
Bro, your armor's pink.
Simmons gets
It's a
excited.
girl.
He's like, "I've got guests."
Yeah.
He's like, "I'm going to show you my 3rd grade report card." And
Oh, I gotta watch that, man. That's so freaking funny.
so,
So,
but
Church and
and
text for
then
boyfriend,
they
girlfriend,
have
right?
donuts.
Church and text for boyfriend, girlfriend.
yeah.
Is it
Yes.
them too? Yeah.
So the story, first off, they did the first 5 seasons. And originally they were only planning on going 5 seasons, but as it got closer, they realized this is a hit. This is something we gotta make bigger. And that's when they started hatching out this whole plan of the AI.
Okay.
Up until that point, like initially they were going to do these 5 seasons. That was going to be it. Church was going to be a ghost. But they basically created the Luke, I am your father. Like they created the prequels first and then went through and had that moment of when Church finds out he's the alpha.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's not a ghost. That's why everybody doesn't turn to ghosts. And they had like all these little loopholes and they go, well, Sarge was a ghost for a little bit. So then they create this thing about armor lockup where everybody's put into like a virtual VR world. And so that's what happened to Sarge. His armor, the attack triggered his armor's lockup and put him in that virtual world that Church can interact with him, but he wasn't an AI.
Oh, okay.
And so like every time, every little loophole, like they come up with this brilliant way to make it work in canon.
That bit where Church goes into Sarge's body and he spits on his visor and then he leaves Sarge's body and Sarge comes back. He's like, I don't know what just happened. Wait, did somebody spit in my water? Somebody spit in my visor. He's like, that's disgusting.
What does AI mean?
What does the A stand for?
Oh,
artificial. What does the I stand for?
Intelligence.
What does the A stand for again?
Yeah.
There's another. So there's once again another joke that like I watch all these react because that's one of the things. Like some people have Friends or Seinfeld or something like The Office that they play in the background.
Right.
Like when I'm doing paperwork or something like that, I put Red versus Blue on, and a lot of times what I'll do is I'll put a reactor, so I get their commentary reactions to stuff happening while the episode's playing.
There's Red versus Blue reaction videos out there.
I've been trying to get Matt Vader to do it because most of them are getting like 40K views on their videos.
Dude, I would freaking do that. Speaking of,
speaking
of the man
tricky.
himself,
Hey.
What's up, dude? How you doing, man?
They've gotten a little more tricky though now that they don't strike you, but they do claim your videos now that Warner Brothers owns them.
Of course they do. Of course they do.
But
what's up, V? How you doing, buddy?
I felt people talking about me through the net.
Yeah.
And I had to come and
so
make it.
V, have you ever seen any Red versus Blue episodes?
Like 3.
Okay.
That Nick
I made him watch
constantly.
Dude, we need to. Yeah, I would not mind at all, like sitting down and doing a video with you where we just watch Red versus Blue.
Yeah,
that sounds like a blast. You would just do watch parties on Discord.
You know, talking about like Vader, I don't know if you saw any of the little clips I put in Discord.
No, I haven't. Not yet.
But there's one where they need help. And they only have room on a rocket for the size of a bowling ball. So they take Lopez's head off and shoot him into space.
Okay.
And they have the next episode starts with his head coming through, and they do the TNG intro. And he comes out like the Enterprise. And he's like, and he's singing all in Spanish, but he's like, space. And then they do like the whole bits of it. And they got the blue lettering and all that. It's great. And they have another one that they came out season 15. They do the first half of the season is about these reporters that are trying to find the Reds and Blues to clear their name. And they have this, they're on this like hidden planet. So it's very much like The Force Awakens. You know, they're searching for the Reds and Blues, and they get to this planet and they go to this island and they show them walking up it. And she's got her reporter thing and she holds it out like Ray did to Luke with the thing. And it's Caboose. And Caboose is like, he's got his back to her and he turns around and he screams and falls off the cliff. And she's like,
oh my God, dude.
I
love these guys. These guys are freaking genius.
They didn't know how to use them, and then like the tank, they got into the vehicle. One guy got in the vehicle, and it tells them how to use it. But the whole time they were just standing there, not wanting to use it because they don't know how to use it. All they have to do is get the tank.
They were arguing about who was going to get in it. I think It's a Caboose got in it, and that's like one of the first times he accidentally kills Church. Is he gets in the tank and he puts it on autopilot, and he's like, "Oh look, there's Church," and it's like targeting Church, and it goes over and freaking blows him away. And then like 5 episodes later, like Church's ghost goes up to the top of the hill to try and like overlook what's going on in the other base, and he's like, "Holy shit! Why is my body still up here? What the hell's the matter with you guys?" They're like, "Why? What do you want us to do with it? We don't even have shovels. We're just gonna we can't bury it."
Shoot you a grave?
All right, guys, we're almost done here. Real quick, for those of you in the chat, thank you guys so much for coming. If you guys want to join us, we're gonna be doing a watch party for Stargate Atlantis, the pilot episode, the 2-parter, in preparation for our club members only episode tomorrow that we're recording. So if you'd like to join us, head over to saltynerddiscord.com. Jump in. We'll give you a role. It's public access. You guys can hop in and watch Stargate Atlantis with us. Vader here is going to be hosting the event because he has a better internet connection than I do.
Yeah, I'm trying the new connection out tonight. I had to do one of those fangled Ethernet connection things from one room to the other over my power lines with some adapters.
We're gonna put that stuff to the test, buddy.
We're gonna put it to the test tonight. So yeah, it works. I love how I show up and you like decide to shut it down. You know,
well,
I'm
it's
the
an hour in,
harbinger.
but
I'm the harbinger of doom. So it's like,
just bring your sickle next time and just stand there and be like, "The show is over."
You're doing the pilot, right?
Yeah, we're doing part 1 and 2 tonight.
Yep.
So yeah, you got 2 hours right there.
They're
yeah, it's gonna be a late night.
42 minutes each, I think, or something.
You just fast forward the intros. We don't need to hear the music.
Yeah.
JT, where can they find you on the socials? And you got something going on. You are a registered artist for what company was it again?
I'm on Fiverr. I'm trying to get that still going.
Okay.
And you can also find me on at jgun09. I'm on Twitter, and then at Gunter Graphics on Instagram.
Right.
Yeah, I do logos for a couple YouTubers. I've done all the thumbnails for and stuff like that for After the Weekend with part 2. So you can find me around or in the chat. So I'm always around. So
nice, right on. Well, thanks for being here tonight, man. I appreciate it.
I would like to add that it's cool to see the inside of the van that's not reversed in the mirror. With everything. So.
Yeah, it's
like for people who don't know, Nick is a locksmith. He's not a creepy guy with a windowless white van driving around town.
There's a window.
No, but when Nick does his videos, it's always reversed.
Yeah.
So everything's on
when
the
I
opposite
started,
side.
wasn't that reversed? Did you flip it?
Mm-mm.
So
Oh, I gotta figure out how to make my phone camera.
Yeah.
Not reverse it. There's probably a YouTube video I should watch.
I just love it that you're out of your van like that. This is awesome. I think it's great.
It's your studio, dude.
Yeah, and it's where I can have uninterrupted. Because if we were in the house, like a dog would start howling, or the kid would wake up, or
got his Ethernet cable all jankied up behind him.
He's got an antenna on the top of his.
Yeah, we're running on Verizon right now.
Nice. That's impressive, honestly, though, to live stream at that quality with a cell phone. That's pretty dope.
But yeah, so for me, I'm Backyard TARDIS on YouTube and Discord, and Back TARDIS on Twitter because Twitter didn't like Yard for some reason. It's too long.
Twitter's ridiculous.
But yeah, I'm just doing it, and I've been kind of joining. I recently did a classic Battlestar Galactica, talk that with Ro, and we're gonna have our episode 2 that I'm gonna be channeling my inner Alex because we're gonna talk about the 80s series. Which is all about a classroom of kids on Earth. And to kind of give you a setup, there's an episode where there's an epic space battle going on. There's the main heroes of the show are stuck like Teal'c and in a plane that they can't land. It's taking them off. All this epic stuff is coming out, but we're going to spend the entire episode on these Battlestar Galactica kids having a baseball game. But they have superpowers because they're from Galactica.
Kids in media ruin everything. That is the quote of the night.
They're so hard on
It was
kids in movies.
so bad. And then we're going to talk, and Roe's going to get his chance to rant about the reboot.
Okay.
And blonde Cylons and
right
how he feels about that. So
nothing wrong with blonde hot Cylons.
well, you can tell Roe that when it comes out.
Well, Roe and me don't agree on a lot of things, so it's okay.
We got to get you two in a live stream together.
Well, he just wants to talk about
He's very
Star Wars.
passionate about the original.
I think at some point in time, I think somebody's going to choose Battlestar Galactica coming up here pretty soon. I think Jude said she was going to pick it.
I think it's coming.
Yeah.
But you're doing the reboot, correct?
Yeah. I think so. I don't think we're doing the original.
Yeah,
so that'll be coming.
I'm doing Firefly. So
yeah,
it must be.
And we have a very special guest who we've just officially scheduled coming up in April. So look for that. That's pretty exciting news for us.
Viking episodes. That guy was awesome. The guy did the Viking.
See,
oh yeah.
If I would have been more free in my choosing of Doctor Who episodes, like if I was
when you and Cadus went up behind my back and decided to schedule my month without me.
I didn't understand.
He's watching right now.
I don't care.
I didn't understand the whole concept, but there is a Peter Capaldi episode that is with Vikings.
Okay.
All right.
And it's really good because he's trying to impress these Vikings with his advanced technology. So he pulls out a yo-yo and he's like, "Ooh, I'm a god, I'm magic." And then, they just take a sword to him and take it away.
Home gang the shit out of that thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to work on. So I'm definitely gonna have Charlie Allen.
I'm
gonna have him back on as soon as I can. He said he had some exciting news coming up pretty soon, so I'm gonna wait until he's allowed to talk about it, and then I'll see if I can get him back on.
He was great.
Also,
that was like my favorite episode that you've done of this so far.
Dude, I was so excited to have him on. So for those of you who might not know, I interviewed Charlie Allen, who's the leader of Combat International. Who does a bunch of the stunt work for really awesome movies that we've all seen and love, like Gladiator and stuff. He's the big barbarian dude who holds up the severed head at the beginning of Gladiator, and he's a super chill, really nice guy. And I had a great time talking to him. I took that video down because it was like an hour of me just trying to fill space before he got onto the live stream. So I'm editing it down. I'm going to add movie clips and a bunch of really cool stuff and actually produce it as a professional thing. And then I'll put it back out so you guys can enjoy it, a cut down version of it. Yeah. But I'm definitely looking forward to having him back on. I'd like to have Jamie, who's the guy who introduced me to Charlie. I'd like to have him on at some point. He's in our Discord. He hangs out with us once in a while. He's a really cool guy. And if I can kind of get into that and get my feelers out there and kind of start introducing my audience to people who work in the stunt community and doing these awesome battles and stuff. I'm all about that. But all right, so we got to end this. So head over to Discord. We're going to be doing a watch party in the next probably 10 minutes or so, or do a Stargate.
It's a 10:02. Let's shoot for 10:10.
10:10. Okay.
Yeah, and then that'll give me time to get go downstairs and get a drink, and I got it queued up and ready to go. We'll be rolling.
All right, sounds good. All right, guys, we'll see you in Discord in about 10 minutes. Everybody, thank you for being here. JT, Nick, we really appreciate. I love how knowledgeable you are about Red versus Blue.
Yeah.
I'm going to binge watch the crap out of this show at as much as I possibly can. Revisiting it has just lit this fire under me. It's so freaking good. If you guys haven't seen the show, go watch it. It's well worth it. And we're going to end on that. Thank you guys so much for being here. Appreciate it. Catch us next Monday when I don't know what we're going to talk about, but we'll be here. All right, everybody. See you later. Have a good night.
Bye.
Wait, he just bailed.
We're not live.
He just bailed. He didn't turn it. We're still live.
Turn it off, you idiot. Where'd he go?
I hit the wrong button.
Wow.
I hit the big red X. And it didn't do.
YouTuber.
It did. Oh, please. I am far from that. Okay, everybody. Have a good night. I'll see you next week.